we were occupying the territory where the mouth of the Buffalo Creek was, and that was, on Lake Erie and was part of our territory, Buffalo Creek. And so there began this process of trying to remove us from that land. And the first treaty that was attempted was in 1838, called the Buffalo Creek Treaty, which was really about taking that land away from us, and really as much Seneca land as could be gotten through that process. That would have included Tonawanda as well, to take that away from them. In the end, what happened was there was another compromise treaty, and the compromise treaty still involved us leaving the Buffalo area, and then it opened it for further settlement. Land was taken, and now the path was open for building this Erie Canal to connect the Great Lakes with ultimately the rivers and ultimately New York City for the purpose of commerce, of course.
So the Erie Canal itself, which all the makers of that, when they first, the Ogden Land Company and the Holland Land Company came in, the corporations were given the land by New York State, who didn't have the right to give it to them in the first place because of the 1700 Interstate Course Acts. So in most cases, with any of the land issues in the land struggle, the government, the federal and the state government, tried to stay out of court because historically they're wrong and they haven't followed their own laws. So they're going to lose once they start trying to pull out deeds to land that was that don't have a legal chain all the way back to where it was originally and fraudulently stolen and taken without the prior free and informed consent of Haudenosaunee people.
The United States, the non-native, they violated their agreement. And then when you look at our history, they've done that to every one of our agreements. Everyone. Our nation, has never broken its word and never violated our side of the agreement. And I believe it's all for money and politics, and that's the harm and the damage that is there forever. If education, if that was being taught properly and emphasized, it might help the world to look at everything differently. Because what happens here, it can happen over there, and it is.
Reviewing treaties of the past and bringing them forward and bringing them to light. Understanding of what were the land agreements between the Haudenosaunee and the Seneca and the Erie Canal developers of the time, and revisiting that and what that means, and not just building an exhibit about it, but thinking forward beyond the exhibit, and thinking forward about let's look back at the negotiations of that time. Let's look back at things that may have been lost or contributed to a delay in some of the traditions of our people, and how we can work together as communities to learn about that, to address that, and really bring it to light at the policy and larger macro level. And by doing that, it bridges communities, it bridges the conversation, and it's reconciliation in that way should be action oriented and really work together with communities, all communities, especially the ones in Buffalo have been. There's a lot of Senecas and a lot of Haudenosaunee that live in Buffalo. And so there's an important history there that needs to not only be talked about and shown in exhibits, but really need to sit down and look at some of those older treaties and agreements that happened and what that means for Indigenous people today.